Traveling locally to uncover the people, places, and products that make our region so unique is our motto, and the reason we do that is to show support to our local communities. One way to offer support is through buying local, and another way is through helping others. We were inspired by PBS's Mr. Rogers to look for the helpers.
Always look for the helpers, because if you look for the helpers, you'll know that there's hope.
So we decided to focus this episode on the helpers. We'll highlight several eateries that are spreading common good to the Commonwealth by way of giving to those who need it most. Often referred to as community cafes, pay-what-you-can restaurant concepts are starting to emerge all over. It's a completely different take on soup kitchens. The emphasis here is making sure patrons dine with dignity. Grace Cafe in Danville is the first of its kind in Kentucky. The cafe is based on the nonprofit restaurant business model of the One World Everyone Eats Foundation. Here, the menu and prices are not set, but rather fueled by local, seasonal produce and funded by donations and fundraising. Instead of a cash register, patrons donate what they can or volunteer work hours in exchange for a meal. The environment is inviting and inclusive. Here, no one knows whose pockets are full, whose pockets are light, and whose pockets are empty. The community simply breaks bread together. I'm here today and I'm talking with Rochelle Bayless, and she is the executive director here and the founder at Grace Cafe, and also Daniel Kirshner. He is the president of the board of directors for Grace Cafe. Thank you for having us out today. We're excited to be here.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you for coming out.
Well, this is wonderful because you guys really are the first to pay, what you can model here in Kentucky.
Correct. Yes. We're the first one, and I'm just so happy to see that word is spreading and people are looking to create this kind of business model and this kind of approach to solving the hunger problem all over the state and all over the country.
Well, yeah, talk to me about this. I mean, this is different. This is a different approach than we've seen before. It's pretty radical, really, in the way that has been dealt with in the past.
It is. It's a very innovative business model, given the fact that our traditional approach to hunger charity really hasn't worked. It hasn't solved the problem. And that traditional approach has been the soup kitchen and the food pantry. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's just not really taking enough of kind of the concepts we've employed, dignity, good food, local food, to really solve the problem. And the problem is food insecurity. So what we're doing is providing an access point for everybody in the community to be able to have that delicious, fresh, locally sourced, nutritious food, regardless of your ability to pay for it.
That's right. Well, and there is kind of a definite model there, right? I mean, you can work for your food because everybody has time and some people have ability to do that. So you can sweep a floor or wash a dish and get fed, or someone before you might have paid for your meal. You can pay it forward for someone. So there's lots of opportunities there, right?
Yeah, there are a range of options when you come into the cafe. Our motto is everyone eats. And if your pockets are full, you can give a little bit more. If your pockets are light, you can give what you can for your meal, or you can volunteer to serve in the cafe for a time and then have your meal provided for the cafe. And it's a really nice way to welcome everyone in. Again, our primary principle is dignity. What we recognize is that there's a problem in our communities, and it's a problem that's been created by the food system that we have in our country. We have an industrialized food system sort of on a national scale, but the problems that it creates are local problems. So in our Boyle County, Danville community, we have almost a quarter of the population that is food insecure. And that means that they don't have access or don't know where their next meal is going to come from. And if they don't get that meal, they're going hungry. A lot of those are children in our community and families that are really struggling to make ends meet in our current economic situation. So this problem we recognize is a national problem, but we've decided to have a local solution to it.
At Grace Cafe, dignity never tasted so good. The Sunday brunch and weekly lunch menus are loaded with foodie offerings. And since it changes based on what's in season, you never know what might be on the menu board on your visit. In the past, they've served up French toast with brandy poached apples, ham and scrambled eggs with house-made gravy, honey roasted carrot bisque, Southwest spinach salad with chipotle lime vinaigrette, Thai soba noodle salad, pulled pork wrap with apple cider cabbage slaw, hot smoked ham and roasted red pepper sandwich, pork loin with garlic mashed potatoes, shepherd's pie, and chicken tacos. I wonder what's on today's menu. I'm here today and I'm talking with Grant Neff. He's the executive chef at Grace Cafe. Thanks so much for having us out. We're excited to be here.
Thanks for coming. We're glad to have you.
Well, I'm excited to talk to you because not only are you doing this awesome thing where you're really feeding people and you're connecting with your community, but you're using so many local foods and farms.
Yeah, so many. That's the operative word. I've got 4 or 5 meat suppliers, 3 or 4 veggie suppliers, and using all of their ingredients gets challenging at times, but I get it done. We waste very little, if any.
Well, I'm sure it's a challenge to come up with new food menu items and not, like you were saying, you don't have any waste.
Yes.
And so you like every day you're coming into a food competition.
Yeah, every day try to come up with something new without being too repetitive. But yeah, a daily changing menu is fun and challenging all at the same time. Just trying to use up everything people bring us.
Well, that's great,
Do what we
because
can.
I'm sure a set menu, there has to be a lot of food waste because you can't possibly anticipate.
Yeah, with a set menu, you would make enough for the week and then not sell all of it. And it's really not going to be good after that. You want a daily changing menu, we use everything fresh. When we can't use it, we try to move it in other ways. Turn it into soups, turn it into salads, whatever I can do, I'm moving the product.
Well, I'm excited about what you have on today's menu. I know you have of course it's a new day, so you've got a whole new special you're pulling out.
New day, today we're going to feature Roselawn Farms beef. We have their beef tips. We're going to make a po' boy with them using a house romesco sauce, cheddar cheese, local tomatoes, and romaine lettuce. And we'll serve it on a briar knob hoagie bun. And the lady in the kitchen with me is actually one of the members of Briar Knob. Her and her husband make all of our bread. So serve it on that hoagie roll and serve it with a cup of fresh made black bean soup and a Southwest salad.
It's not just the food and people that make this place local. The walls also hold plenty of local flair. They're covered with local artwork and photos from local photographers. There's no doubt that Grace Cafe has the common good of the Commonwealth at heart. They have a system based on trust, and Rochelle says that although someone could take advantage of that, at the end of the day, she sleeps well at night because she knows she's spreading goodness. And based on the community's support of Grace Cafe, open for just over a year now, it looks like they couldn't agree more.
I feel very proud of my community and having Rochelle to be the first pay-as-you-can cafe in the state of Kentucky. I think it's a trend that will take off lots of different places.
Miss Collins actually referred me to this place. She said you can volunteer for your meal. It's like, these people here are amazing, nice, love and caring.
Everything here is good. I remember asking Shelley before the cafe was opened, how are you going to attract people to the cafe? And she said 2 words, awesome food. And that's exactly what it is.
I usually go for the soups myself. The soups here are wonderful, and Rochelle Bayless has a bunch of recipes from her grandmother, and today I'm having Mima's chicken soup, which is good on a cold, rainy day.
Really, the fresh ingredients, the creativity, and the mission.
Those who can give more can, and those who can't can work in the kitchen or volunteer their time. It gives our kids in the community a chance to come in and volunteer in the kitchen.
It's a happy place. It's happy to eat here, and it's happy to work here, and there's a hopefulness and a joy. And that's, I think, how it should be.
Whether you're paying or not paying, it doesn't matter. And people don't look around or feel, it's just gracious. It's a place full of grace, really, in so many ways.
You get to serve people who probably at times have never thought they'd be served with dignity and love and acceptance. And that's a wonderful thing to be able to do.
Yeah, back in the day, I was kind of in a rough patch in life, and this place really helped me out. So if you're in a bad position or something, you're on the streets, you come in, volunteer, they feed you, it's good.
There are lots of ways to partner in this effort. In addition to dining at Pay What You Can restaurants, you can also do good in other ways too. We discovered a handful of food and drink shops who are doing good and offering customers a way to pay it forward. Take, for example, Harvest Cafe in Shelbyville, where they say they're community-focused and whole food obsessed.
So the Pay It Forward system I'm super excited about because it gives the community a part to be in on our creative payment programs. So when a patron comes in, they have the opportunity to gift somebody either a coffee or a hot meal, and sometimes it's a denomination. They'll say $10 for a fireman. You see some really creative stuff. I love when I see the latte with an extra shot for a nursing mom who's been up all night. I think that's great. Or we've had kids gift their teachers. So it's just about whoever in the community the patron wants to gift, and they pay it forward. They go ahead and pay for that item. And then they write down on a coffee sleeve, and then we have a board right when you come in that welcomes you with, hey, you know, these items are available. So we do our pay what you can every Wednesday, but we do pay it forward all the time, every day. We had a mom that came in, and she came in with this sort of confused look on her face. So someone told me that I could come. She was real sheepish, almost embarrassed, and I could feed my family. And, you know, I just went from around the corner and just gave her a hug. And I was like, yes, what can I get you guys? You know, this is really some of our kid favorites. You've got to try this soup today. It's super awesome. And she sat down, and the entire time the look on her face was like, this really happening? I have no idea how much she put in the bucket. We don't ever look to see what they pay, which I think is a really big part of it. And so that was just a really neat thing. And then she became a regular. And then along the way, she mentioned that she was able to put a little bit more in the bucket sometimes than what her bill was. So that was a really neat thing. We had a Facebook review, and someone said, walking into Harvest is like getting a warm hug. And I thought, yeah, that's good stuff. That's what we want. So we hope people feel that way.
Jay's Place in Nicholasville offers a pay-it-forward option, as well as other common good-focused initiatives that are beneficial for the community.
The story of Jay's Place and how it got started was a few years ago. A friend of mine and I went to one of our city officials because we could tell there was something going on in the city, something that needed to be changed. There just wasn't a feeling of positivity in our town. So we went to this person and said, what is our problem in Nicholasville? And he said, it's drugs. And we're like, well, it's great. We know what the problem is. What are we doing about it? And he said, we're building a jail. And at that point, for 6 months, all I could think of was, that's not a solution, that's not a solution. So that's where it all came about. And from there, the idea of Jay's Place. We've seen lives changed at Jay's Place. We've actually created jobs and employ a lot of the folks that have come through our drug court and through those programs, because it's about us getting opportunities. You know, we've all had setbacks in our lives. We've all had struggles. And what we want to do is embrace people and say, hey, let's keep going. You know, we've all had that. Anyone that says they haven't had something like that in their lives, you know, they're lucky, because we've all had something to deal with. So that's what's exciting about the opportunities we provide at Jay's.
I'm a recovering addict. Because of Jay's Place, I have my life back. Nobody wants to hire you when you have a record, or, you know, they don't see you, they see what's on paper about you. And because of this place believing in me, I am living my life to the fullest today.
In Winchester, Karen's Coffee has a similar community mission. This faith-based nonprofit organization is in the business of blessing others, and one way they do that is through their Pay It Forward board.
Our mission statement is to be a place, it's like a third place. Usually you have your home and your work. We wanted to be the third place for our community, a place where people could come, have a cup of coffee, build relationships. That's kind of what the Karen means. Karen is a marker. People leave a Karen on a path, like they take a hike and they'll leave a Karen, a marker along the way. We love Pay It Forward. People are kind a lot of times, but we encourage people who come in as if somebody's kind to you, then you take and you pay it forward and you be kind to someone else. I think when people see that, it encourages them to want to give and want to pay it forward and want to make a difference in their community. One of the things that our community did many years ago is to do a survey. They had a group come in and do a survey, and the number one need in the community was a teen center. So our goal was to build a teen center. So we used the coffee shop as its foundation for money and to help pay it and keep it open. And so that's kind of the reason that we started all this. And so everything we do, we try to keep within that mission. Our menu here doesn't just have coffee. We have a sandwich called the Hot Mess. It's pretty spicy. It's got beer cheese and crushed up Grippo potato chips and pepperoni and bacon. And it's not for the dieter.
The Pay It Forward trend is really starting to catch on here in the Bluegrass. One could argue that a Cup of Commonwealth in Lexington was the pioneer of the Pay It Forward board. It started as a way to help celebrate and embody their commitment to the community. When purchasing a Pay It Forward drink, you can make it for anyone, and some of their customers have gotten very creative. In the past, people have had to sing for their iced coffees or dance for their mochas, and the list keeps growing. The folks here have even taken it a step further to extend beyond Kentucky's borders with a Pay It Forward online option.
So the Pay It Forward wall is kind of just a way that we extend like grace and love to people. And so that's one thing with the shop, and when we wanted to get things started is a Pay It Forward board. So our mission statement is embrace community, serve others, and create culture. And so that was one of the things that was like the foundation of the shop. So it's also kind of a little bit goofy. So we have some little things up there that say like do the worm and you get a free drink, or things that are, you know, anyone for like a homeless person or someone who's having a bad day. So it's just kind of a cool way to bring people in, and especially if people are having a bad day, they can get like a free drink to kind of spot that. So just kind of a cool way to give people something to look forward to, and if they're having a bad day, pick them up. I think the Pay It Forward award is just a super simple way for people to say like, hey, I'm here to help. If you haven't been here before, come get something for free. So it's just kind of a cool way to bring the community together.
But it's not just your morning cup of joe that has a conscience. Nighttime drinks are also getting in on the acts of kindness. West 6 Brewing offers a Pay It Forward Cocoa Porter to give back to their community. A portion of the sales of this beer goes to a nonprofit making a difference in the Commonwealth. Who knew Kentucky had so many ways to pay it forward? Well, we're still on our search, uncovering the ways to be a part of the common good in the Commonwealth. Although Grace Cafe was the very first pay-what-you-can restaurant concept in Kentucky, another model has opened its doors, this time in Louisville. And here, everyone has a seat at the table. In the Portland neighborhood, a new farm-to-table cafe wants you to come and enjoy the taste of community. That taste is seasoned with local fresh foods and plenty of love. Here you dine with a purpose. They're changing the way those who are food insecure eat, and in doing so, giving those who need it a hand up, not a handout. I'm here today and I'm talking with John Howard and Kathy Stess. You guys are here at the table. This is your creation. What's your mission statement?
We're here because we want to love our neighbors, and we do that through food. We've been here for a long time and have just struggled with a lot of our neighbors with the food insecurity issue in our neighborhood. And so when somebody showed us the community cafe model, something just took off, and it really is like, oh wow, that's a great way. We get to work side by side with folks and meet the food insecurity need, but also we get to build relationships and we get to pour into people, and that's the way we get to love our neighbor.
Right, well, and I love the table concept because it's so intimate and you're really like able to connect and with people. I mean, it's a great outreach in that way too. Talk to me about the Pay What You Can model. That's not a lot of people know about this.
Yeah, so the Pay What You Can works really good because we don't have a lot of staff here. They don't necessarily have money, but they have time. Then they can eat and then help us do the work that needs to be done. There's other options too, like somebody can pay partial payment, you know, if they have partial payment and don't have the full amount, that is possible. Also, we have a lot of people that like to pay it forward. So a lot of people will work and pay. So that's kind of how that works.
Oh, that's great. So you can pay with money, pay with volunteering, or pay it forward.
Right, right.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Well, yeah, and you partner with a lot of local places. I mean, you're partnering, you know, providing local, fresh, healthy foods, lots of great produce and seasonal items and things.
There's local farms all around Louisville, but the really cool thing about the table and the Portland neighborhood is that there's some urban farms that are right here in the neighborhood, and I could literally throw a rock and hit one of the urban farms in our neighborhood where some of our produce comes from.
How has the community embraced you since you've opened your doors? I mean, you can hear in here, there's lots of activity, people are happy and they're eating and drinking, and it seems to be like there's always people here.
Yeah, it's been really exciting to see the neighborhood just embrace the table. We talk about creating an atmosphere of radical hospitality, and everybody has a seat at the table, and everybody does feel welcome here. And there's an air and there's an atmosphere that anybody can come in and just have a seat, and that's what we really like to make sure that everybody has a great experience when they come in, regardless of your ability to pay. You do have a seat at the table here.
What I like is that it has a real community feel. You know, like we know people when they come in, and we know a lot of times what they want to drink, and we even know sometimes what they're going to order to eat. So we like that, and our volunteers, you know, we like it when, I mean, they come in, they're from the community, and they're people that come in every day to help us, and it's more about relationship. You know, we're able to create relationships with people and, you know, be a part of each other's lives.
The mission of the table is that of servant leadership, but the food tastes anything like what you might expect from a traditional food pantry. The menu items here are hearty, healthy, and most definitely foodie. That is thanks in part to Chef Laura Roundtree, who has a background in high-end food offerings. She lists the Brown Hotel and the Standard Country Club on her culinary resume. I'm here today and I'm talking with Laura Roundtree. She is the chef here at the table. And you guys are doing some really cool, innovative menu items. How do you keep budget in mind for some of those dishes?
We start with something really simple because, you know, we're in Portland and we really try and stick with some of the basic kind of food things that people enjoy. We try to add a couple of elements in there that are maybe a little bit fancy, but, you know, everything that we start with is really basic food, you know, pulled pork sandwiches and grilled cheese and meatloaf sandwiches. You know, that's some pretty good home cooking that people grew up with. We just add a little bit of fanciness, I guess, to it.
Yeah, well, you make it foodie. You know, it's you put a little twist on it that kind of makes it feel a little bit, like you say, more fancy or just kind of more upscale. Well, you got to win over kind of a famous person here recently.
Yeah.
You had a neat experience with someone. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so Food Network came here and shot diners, drive-ins, and dives. But we had a really fun time doing that and shooting, and of course, you know, we've had people come in since then that saw us on the show, and we've also had a lot of people on a national level either call or actually have come in here to talk about wanting to start a similar sort of restaurant in their community, which is probably, you know, the best outcome that could come from that, to have this spread out into other places.
Yeah, having the pay what you can restaurant concept, pay that forward.
Yeah.
And have other people do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And just see that you can do it and you can be successful and you can have fun. And I think that the show really captured that really well, what we do here. And I'm glad that other people can see.
Well, I know he liked a chicken dish that you did. Talk to me about what that is.
So that's actually the only thing that has stayed on every menu that we've done. We're about to go into our 6th menu and it'll stay on again. So it's been with us from the very beginning, and it really came out of, there was a baker in town that made this jalapeno cheddar loaf bread. You know, we had gotten the whole menu together except for the chicken sandwich, because I find chicken to not be that inspiring. It's food. It's what you eat when you're on a diet or whatever. I don't know, one day I was just thinking about a chicken club and I was like, that'd be so good to have a chicken club on that sandwich. So it just kind of came from that, and it has red onions and greens instead of lettuce, which is a lot heartier because it's hot chicken. It stands up to it. And then buttermilk ranch and bacon jam on the jalapeno cheddar roll. So it's kind of a club, a take on that. But yeah, it is really a popular sandwich, so we've kept it around. And,
well, I'm excited. I guess we're going to get to make that today.
Absolutely.
There's no shortage of mouthwatering and seasonal options to tempt you, like the veggie flatbread, which has pumpkin bean patties, a curry cheddar sauce, greens, and beet slaw served on a garlic flatbread. The roasted root veggie salad is topped with blue cheese, walnuts, and molasses vinaigrette. They have a pulled ham, which is topped with Swiss cheese, house pickles, and a spicy honey mustard made with local honey. Even their meatloaf has a culinary spin here. They're served as sliders, topped with French onion cheese, mustard, and served on brioche slider buns. The table really connects with their community. You never know what interesting stories you may hear or celebrations you may be a part of when you visit. Here, you're treated like family.
Happy birthday to you.
God has put you in my life. I am proud of Him to put you in my life. And I am coming to you today to ask you to be my wife.
Well, ham bone, where you been? Round the world and gone again. Ham bone, have you heard? Papa's gonna buy me a mockingbird. And if that mockingbird don't sing, Papa's gonna buy me a diamond ring. And if that diamond ring don't shine, Papa's gonna buy me a bottle of wine. Ham bone.
With a great mix of supporting the local movement and helping those who need it most, there's no better way to strengthen our communities and go local. Make sure and add Pay It Forward Dining to your local travelers list.